we are here for Justin Williams. So, why don't you say a few words?
Yeah, so we've known Justin now for a few years, and actually, I think when you first spoke at the club, we didn't even own this club. You might have spoken for Reggie. So we've been following Justin for a while, and so we've seen him transform from basically doing fix and flips, which we all know so well, to just being this national, probably now international, incredible business tycoon. And when you hear, and he's going to show you exactly how to build it and how to do it. So, you come from a background, it was football in high school, got into this. He kind of talks about himself, very, very, very humble man. And I swear to God, this guy can teach Warren Buffett and Donald Trump a couple of things about how to put a business together and run it. So without any further ado, I'm so excited. And I learn something every time.
Yes.
He fires me up every time.
And by the way, this is probably the last time he'll be speaking.
What?
So,
no way.
He's almost retired. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he's been retired like 100 times over. So
no all right.
Yeah, you're in for a treat. I'm so glad he's here. Thanks for taking the time, Justin. Let's get right to it.
Give him a warm welcome.
Which one you want? You want to wear one? You want to hold it?
I'll throw this on. As long as I don't need it first. Nah, we're just going to talk. Just hang out. If you can look up 7figureflipping.com/videos, I'll probably show a couple videos on there, though. How's everybody doing tonight? Awesome. I'm excited to be here. It's been a long time since I've spoke at a real estate investment club, but I love doing it. It's a lot of fun. I was talking to Rich, and NSD REI is the first real estate investment club I ever went to. This guy named Rich was, him and my wife had the same broker, and he was like, you got to come to this real estate investment club. I'm like, nah, like I'd never been to one. He's like, you got to come. And I came, and I think Mike Cantu spoke, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, these guys charge like pennies to learn all this amazing stuff. Anyway, it's pretty cool. So I'm excited to be here. Should we turn this down a little bit? Is it a little, no? Okay, I just feel like, I'm talking soft though, all right? So just I want to kind of get a feel. I want tonight to be super casual. In fact, in a minute here, I'll probably just sit down and we'll talk. Every time I do one of these, it's totally different. I work with, just to give you a little of my background, I've been flipping houses for 10 years. Before that, I had a satellite dish business that I don't know if many of you guys know my story. I'll spare you the details so we can just focus on you guys. But I've had a lot of ups and downs. I don't want you to think that I was born from the womb, like being, like they were saying, a business tycoon and successful. I wasn't. I grew up in inland a little bit in a place called Mariloma. Didn't have the nicest house. We had love. My parents were awesome, but they weren't entrepreneurial. So I wasn't born with like a golden spoon in my mouth. I remember as a kid, we moved lots of times as a young kid. Every day, like in my prayers at night, it would always be blessed that my dad doesn't get laid off the next day, because it happened quite a bit. Great, hardworking man. But wasn't born with a lot of money. It's just, but over time, I don't know what it was. Maybe I was born with something, who knows, but have put some things together and have been fortunate enough to create 2 7-figure businesses, and next year I think I'll hit 8. I believe that I'm more focused on creating a business, and I believe real estate is one of, probably the best thing, especially for, I feel like a low barrier to entry because there's so much opportunity. So I feel like it's the best thing that people can get into and make large chunks of money. But at the end of the day, business skills and business practices are universal. Okay, so tonight I want to focus more on that. The topic was Secrets of the Millionaire House Flipper and Wholesaler. That's kind of where I want the conversation to mainly be focused, but I am happy to answer questions about anything you guys have. That's just what excites me. Does that excite you guys? So like I said, I've been doing this flipping houses for over 10 years now. Up until last year, I was flipping for the past few years, about 100 houses per year. Started in 2007 Anybody know what's happened in 2007? Right? Luckily, I got into this thing called wholesaling. I was doing short sales. I don't know. It might have been illegal. I don't know what I was doing. Who knows, right? And then in 2010, a lot of things changed. We moved our location. We're finally making some money. We're like, oh, we can leave Bakersfield, right? I didn't grow up in Bakersfield, but that's another story how we ended up there. Realized we could leave, and then we did okay for a couple of years. But then when we moved, and then the market was changing with short sales, and I was getting into this, fix and flips, and it was tough. Like, we literally didn't know how to pay the bills in 2010. We had some prior debts we were paying off. So I've been there. However, the next year in 2011, we ended up flipping 60 houses. Found out a good market, figured some things out, took the past experiences and past failures, learned a new niche, put some things together, and flipped 60 houses. That changed our life. The following year, we did 120, made our first 7-figure income, completely changed everything. We moved down to San Clemente, bought a house, my wife's dream home. And it's been pretty cool. It's been pretty humbling. Doesn't mean life has been perfect since then. I thought I had arrived. At that time, I was only working about 5 hours a week in my house flipping business, flipping about 100 houses a year. And it's all because I created the systems. The same thing that allowed me to flip 100 houses a year is what caused me to not be able to work that much, quite frankly. I had to get out of the way. It's like once I got out of the way, I was able to scale. It's like the harder I worked, the less money I made, the less deals I was able to do. Because I was the one looking for all the deals. I was the one talking to contractors. And I'm only one person. I can only do so much. But if I leveraged a team, there was no limit to what I could do. So that was 2013, working 5 hours a week, had a pretty systematized business. And I thought, okay, I've arrived. I'm here, living in San Clemente. I can go surfing all the time, a mile from the beach. And that was fun for about a month or two. And then, gosh darn it, that dang curse of the entrepreneur, I started to get really bored. And I wasn't fulfilled, and I wasn't happy. I was like, here I have everything I thought I ever wanted. This beautiful home by the ocean, this business that's working for me. I'm not stressed about finances anymore. And I wasn't fulfilled. And I realized right then that it's not just about the money. There's I think it's someone's law. What is it? Maslow's law, right? Hierarchy of needs. See, he knows way more than I do about this, so I'm going to totally mess it up. But it basically, the idea is, at the beginning, you got to take care of, you got to be able to feed you and your family, pay your rent, pay your bills, and then I say, you want to be able to go on some vacations. You want to be able to do some things, but there gets a point where, how many vacations can you go on, right? And I'm not one to buy like fancy cars. I got a Tundra. It's pretty dirty from the kids. We use it, throw our surfboards in the back. I don't have fancy cars. We have a decent, nice house, but nothing crazy. But after a while, you have everything you need, and then you find the need to give back. So in 2013, I was talking to my wife, and it was like, well, what should I do? She's like, dude, stop following me around the house. Like, get out of here, go do something. And we had to figure something out. And so I thought, well, what do I love doing? What am I good at? And I decided to start teaching people this business. I was reluctant, I'll be honest, because there's a lot of scamsters in our industry, if you guys aren't aware. And for that reason, I was reluctant to get into it. But then one day I had this epiphany, and it was kind of an experience of talking to my wife as well, and just this realization that that's exactly why you need to do it. So anyway, started doing that, almost quit after a year. It's funny, I thought, oh, I've already started this business. I've done well in real estate, flipped hundreds of houses, created systems. This is going to be easy. People are just going to be like all over it. It's going to be amazing. And not that they weren't, but I was working like 50, 60 hours a week again and making like this much. And then my house flipping business I was making a ton of money and doing hardly any time. And it's like, what the heck, I don't want to do this. But anyway, kept going at it, had some experiences that made me realize, let's keep going. I got some help, got some coaching, paid a mentor $25,000 to teach me what the heck, you know who he is, right? to teach me what the heck I needed to do. And things started to take off. And today I think I could safely say that I run the largest network of people who all have the exact same goal of creating a high-level house flipping or wholesaling business. I don't think there's any question. So anyway, I'm just giving you guys a little of my background so you know what questions to ask, basically. So right now I have a group called 7-Figure Flipping, and everyone in that group is doing anywhere from low to mid to high 6 figures or 7 figures. We got a guy who helps me coach it. He's doing multiple 7 figures. He wholesales. His name's Andy McFarland. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. Wholesales about 25 to 30 deals every month. Okay. So one thing that drives me crazy is when I hear people say, I can't find any deals. There aren't any deals. Like, that is how a low-level, I won't say low-level. You know the book like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? I haven't read it in years, but you got Rich Dad and Poor Dad. It's like you have rich investor, poor investor, right? A poor investor says, there aren't any deals, I can't find any deals. A millionaire investor creates systems that will bring deals to him or her. Okay, does that make sense? So anyway, that's enough rambling. I'm going to show you guys a few videos tonight and whatnot, but I really want this to be about you guys. I want you to start asking some questions. I want this to be super engaging. I found that the audience gets way more out of it when it comes from them. I've got a bunch of notes here of topics I want to make sure I hit, but I kind of like to do things in an organic way. I think it's a lot more fun and interesting and ways to get to know you guys. So let's dive in, shall we? Okay, who's got the first question? I can tell you got a question, huh? Who's got a question for me in common? Let's spur this conversation off. I'm here for you guys. I don't do this very much. Yes.
Here, let me hand you a mic.
If you were just starting out in the industry and you had about 10 grand a month to throw into marketing, where would you allocate those dollars?
Just starting out in the industry, you live in San Diego,
Yeah,
and you have about 10,000, you said, a month?
a month to put in the marketing budget.
That's great. So this is where the conversation starts to get interesting, because those are the questions that most people ask, okay? And you're going to find that my answers are going to be about 10 minutes long, some of them probably, so get cozy. This business, just like any business, is about building a machine, okay? ROTI, return on time invested. That's what you want to focus most of your time on. Most investors, most business owners, or call them business owners or call them someone who just created a job for themselves, they don't focus on that. They create a job for themselves. And a lot of times it's a high-paying job. Or they get burnt out and fizzle out and go back to their other job because they tried to find a deal and then they went and worked on the deal. And like, that's not how you run a business. You will burn out. The market will change. You will think this business doesn't work anymore. You will fizzle out and you will die, right? Not physically, I hope. But so you need to start thinking in terms of, okay, this is a machine. Anybody ever seen the show? It's been a while since I've seen the show Gold Rush. Who knows how do you mine for gold? Is it even mining when you do it like out in Alaska? Is it still called mining when it's like in the dirt? So I didn't know this, and I don't know anything about mining for gold. I saw a few episodes of the show, right? And these guys they took this big, huge machine up to Alaska, right? Yeah, you're familiar with it? Yeah, so they're scooping up this dirt, and it goes into this machine, and then the gold comes out at the end, right? What happens if the machine is broken or not that efficient? No, what comes out? All production stops. Or they get dirt, and the gold doesn't sift out, and so then what happened? They spent all the money on the machine, they spent the money on getting it there, they're paying the people to put the dirt in the machine, and are they making money? No. Your only goal in real estate or any business that you ever create, if you can do this one thing, you will be a millionaire, a multimillionaire, okay? Your only goal is to create a money-making machine, okay? Now, it sounds crazy, right? But it's true. That's your only goal. If you can figure out the equation or build this machine that for every dollar you put into it, you get 5 back. If I were to give you $5,000 for every 1,000 you gave me, how often would you do that? We'd just sit here and be changing money, right? You'd be like, dude, you'd be giving this guy, you'd be like, hey, I'll give you, $200 for every 100 that you just passed to this guy of my money, right? Like, because you want to be able to pass it fast enough. Okay? That's really what business is. That's your only goal. And once you get to that equation, you've got to maintain the machine. Okay? You have 2 goals. Put more dirt in the machine, So on this show, like, they got to fix this machine because there's like several parts of the machine, and if one part's not working, it's not delivering the gold. Or if it's not working good enough, it's not delivering enough gold to make the machine make sense financially, and they're going to have to quit. But if they can make it work, they're rich, right? That's how business is. So when you ask the question, I've got $10,000, I'm thinking that's like dirt, right? Putting $10,000 into the machine. Well, if your machine's broke, you're not going to make any money from that $10,000. Right. So that's the question, right? And we'll go through some of those items, but you gotta create this machine, okay? And that's in real estate. That's especially when it comes to flipping and wholesaling houses. Okay, rentals, it's kind of a different game, as you guys know. But there's a lot of crossover as well. Okay, so you've got to be able to create a machine that will be profitable. So I would argue that there's many marketing channels that can and do work. All right, I have students all throughout the nation, all different parts of the country, competitive, super competitive markets, less competitive markets, and if you have enough pieces of your machine that work well enough, you will make money in this business. Okay, so you guys probably want to go through some of those parts of what the machine are, right? For example, if you can't close deals, or the person who is closing deals for you isn't good at sales, and I just hired Nick, for example, for my education business to help me with sales. Before I had a sales guy who wasn't very good. I'm hoping Nick stays around. I'm hoping he works out. We'll see. I don't know. I'm just kidding. No, he's going to be great. He's going to be great. But it didn't matter. Like, there was this other guy and it was my bad, right? I take full responsibility. If you don't take responsibility, you can't improve. He was a guy that worked for a guy that hired the guy, and like there was no, like, it was horrible, right? But it didn't matter how much dirt I put into the machine. I was just throwing money away, because he wasn't able to close deals. So that's number one. Either you or the person who is going to appointments for you needs to be able to close deals. Okay? Makes sense? For anyone who's a new investor, you've got to know, obviously, how to analyze deals, and we're not going to get into that tonight. That could be another hour-long discussion. But you've got to be able to know how to properly analyze a deal, and you've got to be able to close deals. You've got to have sales skills. I mean, I have seen people, like my students, it's crazy. They hire sales people like nothing. They're hiring and firing all the time, right? Don't worry, Nick. You're good. We're not. Literally, he's been with me for 2 days, right? But I have this group of about 80 top-level investors who are all either at or working towards that 7-figure mark. And it's like, okay, like for every salesperson they hire, they know they can make X amount into their business. But one person won't close a dang thing, and then they'll bring in someone else who kills it. So there's a huge difference, okay? So this is a team sport like these guys talked about. You either got to learn and be able to close these deals, which eventually 7-figure investors don't do that on their own, in my opinion. You've either got to be able to do it on your own, or you've got to work with someone who is good at it. I've got a guy named Steve Pesavento. Does that name sound familiar at all? He's actually lives in Irvine. He came to Flip Hacking Live, which is my event I do every year in San Diego in October, so it's coming up very shortly. Flip Hacking Live. I'll mention it at the end a little more. But he came to Flip Hacking Live last year, hadn't really done any deals at that time, had explored it a little bit. He met someone at Flip Hacking Live. I mean, he had done his knowledge, he's gotten some knowledge and done some due diligence, and he was at Flip Hacking Live, and we just, for 3 days, it's full immersion in this like one concept of building a house flipping or wholesaling business, right? So he was fully immersed, met someone from Minnesota, where he was originally from, where he came from. They teamed up. Steve does the marketing. Dave, at first, was going to the deals to close them. Now they have a couple guys that do that for them. They have someone who takes their calls as well. Someone screens the calls. Someone goes to the appointments. Steve oversees the marketing. So Steve's putting dirt in the machine. Dave's in charge of making sure that the machine is working and deals are closing and all this stuff. And collectively between the two of them, they're going to do over $1 million this year. Is that incredible or what? Right? Now, that's not the norm. Okay? I don't want to, just saying, right? But it's because they thought, okay, let's build this machine. And I don't like, another thing seven-figure flippers do and a millionaire investors do versus poor investors or investors that struggle. A millionaire investor, millionaire mindset figures out, how can I do this? You guys ever heard me tell a story about the yeah butters? Who knows about the yeah butters? So yeah, exactly, yeah but, right? Like, the first seminar that I was ever, it was like 6 months after I started investing, they had me on a little panel, and all of a sudden you're like a celebrity and everyone wants to talk to you, like, oh, this is fun, you know? All these people came up to me and they're like, well, you see, I can't do what you're doing because of this. And they come up with some like random weird thing. I heard everything. And it was weird because it was like during the time there was a lot of foreclosures, and someone would come up and be like, I can't do it because there's a lot of foreclosures. There's too many in my market, and the market's going down, and all this stuff, and it's just horrible. And I'm like, okay, and I'd explain how they could do it and why. And someone else would come and be like, there's not enough foreclosures in my area, so I don't have any opportunity because there's no short sales. And I'm like, well, you can do it because of blah, blah, blah. And like, I heard every excuse under the sun. One guy comes up, this was, I kid you not, like Twilight Zone, the craziest thing. Some guy comes up, he's from California, and he's like, I can't do that, like only if I lived in New York, then I could do this business. And then someone comes up to me from New York, like not right after, but like later on. He's like, only if I was in California. I was like, oh my gosh! I had to leave. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, this is crazy, right? And every time I would try to help these people overcome their problem, which was only in their head, they would say, yeah, but, and come up with some lame excuses, like blah, blah, blah. Like I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy, right? Millionaire investors and business owners figure out how to make it happen. So it's just like Steve, like, he didn't say, oh, I can't do this because of blah, blah, blah. He said, well, I'm good at this, you're good at this, let's team up and let's make it happen. He found a way to make it happen. Millionaire investors figure out how to get their foot in the door. Get your foot in the door and get it in the door quickly. Like, I highly encourage failure. The faster you can fail, the better off you're going to be. Now, some of you just hear that word. Who in here, raise your hand if you hear that word and you just go, you did, I saw your face, right? You're like, failure, right? Like, now when I say failure, I'm not talking about like losing millions of dollars failure or losing a lot of money. No, that's not the failure I'm talking about. Failure usually, our biggest fear is failure. And it usually is the type, there's two kinds of failure. There's financial failure, and then there's the kind of failure that like hurts your ego a little bit. You know what I mean? Or like the fear of what people are going to think of us type failure. What are my friends and family going to think? Like, first of all, they already think I'm crazy for doing this real estate investing, entrepreneurial thing. Like, no, go get a normal job, go to school, do it this way. And they already think I'm crazy. What are they going to think if, like, I don't succeed or if I try this thing? A lot of times we're holding on to this dream or this idea or thought of success, and subconsciously we're afraid to take that action because the dream is there. And if I act on it and I don't succeed, the dream's gone. And then what do you have? Right? So millionaire investors think differently. They charge after failure. They embrace it. Fail fast, fail quickly, fail often. Don't make dumb investments. Like, take risk. It's emotional risk that we most fear. Okay, the financial risk is going to be there, but you can really minimize it and mitigate it. I do this whole thing, and maybe at the end, if we have time, I'll talk a little more about ways to mitigate and eliminate risk. There's multiple things. Obviously, if you're buying a house that could meet rental criteria, I said I'm going to do it at the end, and now I'm doing it, right? It could meet rental criteria. Okay, you've eliminated a lot of risk. Typically, if you're wholesaling, you're eliminating a lot of risk. If you partner with a financial lender, when I did my 60 deals and then 120, I had a 50-50 partner. I was not afraid of giving up half of the profit because I had no risk. My first one was Reggie, actually. That's why I ended up speaking at his class, why I'm here today. You know, this guy had money, and I had more deals than I knew what to do with. So I teamed up with him, And he funded them all. I had zero risk. It allowed me to buy infinitely. I eliminated the risk. I first started out wholesaling. And I was wholesaling short sells and having someone else fund the deal. I had virtually no risk other than a little bit of marketing costs. Then later on, I did my first flip. I remember freaking out in 2010. I'm like, it was like a $75,000 purchase or something like that. Like, it was ridiculous, right? But I was so scared that I was going to borrow this guy's money. I was going to lose it because it was actually a real flip I did. Can you believe the following year I did 60 flips? And the year after that, 120? It's because I was able to, the fear of losing the money, I was able to eliminate that. And I wasn't worried about what people were going to think and all that stuff. I don't think I ever had that fear. I don't know. But where were we? It was fun. Building the machine. So anyway, you've got to build this machine. You've got to, when I think about a house, it depends on the market and what area I'm in, and this is how my students all look at it. It's like, okay, what can I make from it, and what am I going to spend? A lot of people get worked up about, and $10,000, that's a great budget. That's awesome. But a lot of people, it's like, oh, I only have a few $100s. I can't do this, right? Yes, you can. Go find a money partner, right? You go I don't want to call it a bird dog, but go team up with this person. You're going to go grind it out. How many people in here, if someone brought you a fantastic deal, would love to be the money person, right? Like, money is never an issue. Ever. Who thinks money is an issue? Raise your hand. It's not, okay? Because if you have a deal, there's always someone who wants to give you the money for it. It might be, you can find the money, trust me. There's so much money out there. Someday I'm going to do a seminar where I'm just going to raise like $3 million in a day live in front of everybody, right? And it'll be easy to do, I promise. So that's one. Like, you can find the money. People have, how much money are people making on their money right now? Nothing. Like, it's ridiculous. Like 1%. Like, I have people literally who throw money, like want me to take their money, and I can't take it. Right? Luckily, I have a lot of students. I'm able to say, hey, call this person, call this person. But so much money come my way. So you're like salivating back there, right? So much money. But number two, if you've got a few buyers, you can wholesale them the property. So never let that be an issue. When I first started, there was all these steps. And I had to say, okay, I can take care of this by this. Like, mentally, this is a huge mental game. And I'm not just talking about, woo, let's have a good mental attitude and change our mindset. But it's such a mental game because we're worried about subconsciously all these things that we don't realize. If we can eliminate those things, if we can eliminate the risk or the fear or the concern, know that, oh, okay, this fear, because the same fear that we have when we're about to be attacked by a bear, the same feelings, the same part of our brain lets off the same chemical when we're concerned about what our friends and family might think of us. Did you know that? So we either, fight or flight, right? One of those, right? So we're either going to run away or we're going to be afraid. Something's going to, right? Like, we might freeze in our tracks or we run because we feel danger. Our brain is saying, danger, danger. But it's not. We got to be able to differentiate those things. Yeah.
More about the marketing piece, the marketing of finding the home, marketing of selling it once you do whatever it is you're going to do.
Sure. So who's heard the?
That's always normal. Is that
Let me tell you what. Who's heard resources is never a problem. What is usually our issue? What do we need to focus on? Being resourceful. Okay? Become resourceful and the world is yours. I had no money when I started. I had no experience in business. I had no business doing business. I went to school to become a PE teacher, for crying out loud. I dropped out with 1 semester left, so what the heck am I going to do with this? I was in Utah at the time. I would have made 25 grand as a PE coach. And the kids were brats anyway. I thought I was going to I was like, these kids are brats. I don't want to do this. I spent and luckily I was playing football and whatever, more on the sidelines than playing, but whatever, right? I had a full ride scholarship and I dropped out. So I was like, this is not what I want to do, right? Become resourceful. I didn't have anything. Nothing was given to me. So you got to be resourceful. There's more money than you could ever want. There's more deals than you will ever know what to do with if you create the machine that will give that to you. So 10,000, is that normal? Not in this room. With my high-level students, yeah. I mean, there are guys in there that spend 100 grand a month on marketing. Because why would he spend 100 grand a month? Because he makes 500 grand every time he spends 100 grand, right? So the marketing, I'll just run over like a few of like, I mean, and you guys I think know all this, right? You can do things like, no, you're good, you're good. You can do things like direct mail, you can do bandit signs, you can do internet marketing. And when I say internet marketing, like I'm saying internet marketing, like I've done nothing but study internet and online marketing for the past like it can go to the umpteenth degree of how deep you want to go in that. But focus as well, right? It only takes one system to make $1 million, right? Like focus is what will make you rich. In fact, that's the theme of our event, Flip Hacking Live, is you're just one system away. And everyone who goes there is going to share with you like their exact one system of what they're doing. And some of that includes multiple marketing channels. And someone's like, I do this one thing, I do this, and boom, 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 right? So focus. But I will throw out some of the other marketing. Direct mail, bandit signs, online marketing. What else? Help me out here, guys. What are some of the door knocking, SEO? So online has multiple ways of going about it. You can do pay-per-click, where you pay for every time someone clicks on the thing. Okay, you guys ready for this? So Facebook. I don't know if anyone's using Facebook in here. I have someone in my high-level group, seven-figure flipping, who has is killing it with Facebook Messenger, right? I I'm not here to teach you like specific little tactics to do it this way. I don't get my hands even on that stuff really. Like I just let other people make the money. I hire people who I call rainmakers who are gonna make it rain. Nick is a rainmaker, right? I don't need to know every little thing about Facebook. I don't even know how to log into software. Like I have 5 or 10 softwares that we have. I don't know if we use half of them. I don't know the passwords. I don't know how to log into them. You don't need to, okay? They've figured out how to use Facebook Messenger, and I think in the first few months, I don't know where they're at right now, but they spent $6,000, and their projected profit from that is $200,000. Okay, is that a good machine? Right? Yeah, it's pretty powerful. Then they have a person who screens the calls, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of to the point where if you make me talk to just random sellers that are oh my gosh, I would rather, I don't know, there's a lot of things I'd rather, it's just, it makes me want to puke, right? But it's because I've done that, and don't get me wrong, it's okay to do that as you're failing forward and learning. I think immerse yourself fully and take crazy action and get your hands dirty and do all this stuff, take the calls, go meet the sellers for a month or two, realize how much you hate it, and then, or maybe you become really good at it. My brother, his whole goal is to only do that, and eventually he doesn't want to do it, but that's all he does. He has his whole business set up to where he only goes to those appointments and he closes 80% of them. And this is in Northern California where it's super competitive and people I can't make any money. He'll make over $1 million this year. And you guys don't know my brother, but he's my brother. I'm what the heck? This guy couldn't sell a dang thing. He's installed satellite dish for me when I had my satellite dish business 12 years ago. And him talking to people, forget about it, right? He would not, I was bro, we're struggling in the business, I need you to go do some sales. He's you know? And luckily we were in a position where he had to. He had to. In order to pay the rent, he had to do it, and it was tough. He struggled, eventually did it, got a little better at it. And today that's his thing, because he's had to get so good at it because he wasn't naturally good at it all. I'm just a talker, I'm horrible with things. I can't log into software, I don't fix things, even though I flip over 100, even though I flipped hundreds of houses, I don't know how to fix a dang thing. I don't fix anything around my house. When my dad comes over, my wife's dad comes over, they have a list of things they fix. It's bad, but my wife is a lot handier than I am. She's the only one with power tools in our house. But it's okay, you don't need to do that. Henry Ford, he wasn't the smartest guy, but he could push a button and he was able to contact anyone he needed and get what he needed to take care of. Your job is to be the orchestrator, right? And like I said at the beginning, we're talking I say we're talking high level, but to me it's fundamentals, it's basics, really. It's business 101. And you want to start with the end in mind. Like the book E-Myth talks about it, right? Like, what do you want your business to look like, and work towards creating that business today? At the beginning, you might be plugged into several of the positions, and you team up with someone else who is doing several of them, and you bring on someone who does this. Another thing that millionaire investors do is they use leverage to the 10th degree. We know how to use leverage financially, I think, most of us. But they leverage people. I mean, do not exchange time for dollars. I see way too many people, they'll exchange time for dollars. Like, what's your time worth? So many people are afraid to hire someone to pay them $12 an hour to screen their calls and or someone to do like all the low level, and I say low level, I'm not knocking anybody or anything, right? For our economy to work, to help people, you guys, the people in this room who I'm speaking to, you've got to rise up above. You've got to take charge. You've got to give people these opportunities, right? Does that make sense? But if you're out doing like $12 an hour work, like putting up signs and like you're doing yourself and other people a disservice. Hire that out, okay? Have someone else do that. You know, I've got people in my community who, for example, have like a bandit sign system. And I tell you what, if I were to do bandit signs myself, I'm gonna go out like, ah, what's going on? And put out signs, I'm gonna get burnt out, right? But if I can hire a guy, pay him $3, the bandit signs are a couple, it's $5 per sign, and I'm like, okay, if they put out these many signs, and it's in a systematized fashion, and we get X amount of calls, my person who's taking the calls is screening the calls, and then the person who goes out to do the deals who gets paid on commission, so it's no money out of my pocket, can close this much. Cool, okay. I spent $2,000 or $3,000, whatever it might be. San Diego, the numbers are a little bigger, and that's why people get intimidated by big markets. It's like, oh my gosh, I got to spend like $5,000 to get a deal. It's like, well, how much can you make? Right? How much can you make from that? Okay? And then you say, but that's still a lot of money to put up. Okay, partner with someone. Find somebody. When you understand money and you understand returns, man, it's a beautiful thing. Okay? Is that kind of making sense a little bit? So yeah, all those things. I mean, I would try pay-per-click. I would try, SEO is a longer game. But I know a guy, I don't know if you guys know Doug Van Soest. He spoke at my event last year. He kills it on SEO. You know, he's been doing it a little bit longer. So many things you can do. I don't have time to dive into it because I try to focus. I have like a million ideas of different ways to market. Like now that I'm doing like online marketing too, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like as investors, we are so far behind in the marketing world. Like you have no idea. We're so far, like one of my mentors, Russell Brunson, this guy's like created the software called ClickFunnels, anyway, ridiculously huge company. Guy makes millions and millions of dollars every month, and he's awesome. But what was I saying before that? Yeah, I totally have ADD. What was that? Oh, it's funny. I was listening to him once, and he was talking about, yeah, back in the day, like in marketing, you just used to like send out this direct mail to these people, and then he started talking about and then later on, the internet came, and you could do this thing called pay-per-click, and like that doesn't work anymore for us marketers. And I'm like, oh, that's like what most real estate investors still do, right? Which is okay. But there's a whole other world out there of like building an audience and creating funnels. And look, I don't want you guys to get all like, oh my gosh, like you don't have to do that. That's the cool thing. You could spend X and get a multiple of 3, 4, 5, 6 times that fairly easily if you have the right team in place. And it might sound hard, but it's simple. It's not that crazy, right? And you start where you want to start, where you're comfortable with. Like I would recommend for most people, generally speaking, start by having someone who can do all the low-level, easy stuff. What's low-level? It's things that you do often that are repeatable and that are easy to train someone on. It's easy for most people to do. That's like $12 an hour. I don't know, what's minimum wage these days? It keeps going up, huh? What is it? Okay, is it, who said 15? Yeah. So anyway, I like to pay a little bit above minimum wage for low-level stuff like that. Or if it's like bandit signs, you pay per sign or something like that, okay? And when you're doing that stuff yourself, I remember when I was doing short sales, I was the guy calling the bank. I was the bottleneck. And whenever a deal didn't go, like, what would I have to deal with? Not only did it take a lot of time, but what else? I'd get jacked up emotionally. Yeah, you said the brain, right? I would get messed up emotionally. And this sounds like, I hate movies and TV shows. Like, they always show the business guy as like, like, that is so BS. Like, it's so bogus. Like, I know so many, like, millionaires, multimillionaires, like, overall, generally speaking, sure, there's all kinds. They're the most generous, kind, giving, thoughtful people. I mean, with the hurricanes and things going on, it's like some of the wealthy people, they're someone who doesn't have anything, and I don't, like, they can still give a ton. My mom, like, doesn't have any money, but she gives and gives and gives, right? But some dude who is a like, he can drop 20 million and help a lot of people, right? Like, there's a lot of good people out there that have a lot of money. Anyway, don't hate rich people. I know none of you guys do, because that's why you're all here. But there are people out there who don't like rich people. They're just jealous, right? It's like, dude, all those moves, they're just fake. They do that because that's how most people are, yeah. Okay, so that's another piece of the machine, right? So you got to have tight operations if you want to succeed. A lot of people I see fizzle out of this business because maybe they put out some marketing, the phone rings, maybe they don't answer because they're scared, oh, right? Or they're at work or whatnot. That's money going down the drain. Every time you don't answer that phone call, make sure it gets answered live. And if Pat Live's got to do it, like at the nights and some weekends, that's fine. Well, it's not that I don't like Pat Live, but if I have a live answer person who actually has, how do I say this, half a brain? Because anyway, that's not very nice, but knows, okay, they've been trained properly. Let me put it that way. Versus Pat Live, like, see, this is what's cool. I have so much data with all my students and Andy and all these people I work with. Like, you will, it's kind of like saying, okay, you're going to make half the money just from that. Just from that. So if you do enough things right, like, you're going to make money. So if you can have someone answering the calls live to screen the calls, and they don't need to be like, it's not that hard to train someone on that. But hopefully they don't have like a crazy accent from like, another country or something, right? That's losing money. You're going to lose money from that. Pat Live is just so like robotic. They just the numbers. If I were to analyze like 5,000 calls from Pat Live versus 5,000 calls from someone on my team or Andy's team or one of my students' team, huge difference. And those small incremental changes will make all the difference whether you become multimillionaire in your business or whether you fail completely. Because I don't know about you, but if I was spending $5 to make $4, that business model isn't going to last very long, right? And that's what people do in this or any business. So you want to try to answer the call live as often as humanly possible. If you can't, you're probably not going to make it. You want to make sure the person or you or whoever goes out has good sales skills. I would rather have a good salesperson go to my appointments than someone who has a lot of experience in real estate. The real estate experience will come, but sales skills is something else, right, Nick? This guy did sales training. Not only is he a good salesman, he did sales training. So you want to find someone who has good sales skills. And that could be someone who has experience in real estate. Like if you're teaming up or like partnering up, that's a little different. Like it's cool, like if they have a lot of experience, they've proven they can close deals. Maybe you've got money or you know someone who has money. Like what do you bring to the table, right? Like bring something to the table, and that could be, like you could just be the orchestrator, right? Like I'm really not very good at anything. I'm really not. I am. No, I'm good at like bringing people together. Like it's kind of a trick. Like it really is, right? Like Nick will make me millions of dollars over the next few years. He just will, and he'll make a few $100,000 as well. But I mean, you should leave. I should just have you leave. I don't know why I brought you tonight. Like, I just think like a long time ago. I don't know if it was when I was a kid. I was just like, I'm like 4 years old, right? And we're at Costco, and I'm like, like these fire jawbreakers, you know, I used to eat those ones little. Yeah, atomic fireballs, right? It has this many in the bucket, and it was only like a penny each. I could sell them for 10. That's like 10 times the money. Like I knew that when I was 4 years old, right? Like these things don't change. When I got older, I started like, I would buy lovebirds. I would go work for $3 an hour for, my dad was a construction worker, and for his guy who did landscaping at for his company. It's probably totally illegal. I was like, $3 child labor laws, I'm sure. $3 an hour, I would just work all day so I could go buy a lovebird and buy 2 lovebirds. Then I'm like, oh, they have babies, they multiply, right? And then I would hand feed those and I would sell them. You know, I mean, resourcefulness. My parents didn't have any money to give me. My mom would buy, see, she was good, she would help us. She would buy the candy bars that people buy for fundraisers, and we would go sell them at the store and just keep the extra money, right? We didn't lie about anything, you know, like to pay for it so we could buy clothes and stuff. That's what we had to do. So I learned how to hustle, you know. And when I say hustle, I don't mean like I don't work like 100 hours a week. That's a different kind of hustle. I'm not into that. You got to work hard, but work smart. Create systems that'll give back to you time and time again. Anyway, I know I have a few loops I still need to close, so you guys can. Okay, so back to the system though. So you got to have someone taking the calls live, right? They've got to take the calls live. You've got to have a good salesperson. Like that's like night and day. If there's not a good person going on these appointments, your business won't work. The gold won't come out the end. It just won't. So critical. It's not that hard. Like there are a lot of good salespeople out there, and you can train them, and they will be stoked. And the great thing is you can pay them commission. It depends on the area, but you can pay them like 10% commission. And then does that come out of your budget? No, right? Or you team up with someone. Find a way to make it work. So after the sales, you were talking about you have to have good sales skills on the backside, right? So this in any business only has to do with, there's only 3 things involved. Lead generation, lead conversion, and then in real estate, it's increasing your average profit per deal. In other businesses, it would be fulfillment and then increasing your average cost per customer. Does that make sense? Okay. So in real estate, lead generation, it's all the marketing and that is less important than building the machine. I'm telling you right now. Once you have the machine built out, you can almost throw most marketing mechanisms into them, and the numbers will make sense. Okay? Like it all works over time if you have the right machine. Okay? And you can geek out on the marketing, but it works. So lead conversion, that has to do with answering the call live, like I mentioned. So you got all the marketing, right? Answering the call live, making sure you have a good salesperson that not only goes to the deals, but they're following up. They're a follow-up machine. Okay, because there are some sales guys that, and once again, anyway. They're lazy. They don't follow up. They just want to that one's like a golden lead. They don't go to all the leads, right? I would say on average, each acquisitions person, otherwise the person who's going to the leads, can probably handle about 12 appointments per month. That's kind of the number that we've kind of come up with in our high-level group. More than that, they kind of start, you kind of want another guy as well, or girl. Because they're doing follow-up and they've got all kinds of other leads and stuff like that. So you want to make sure they're not maxed out. And what will happen is they'll just kind of scrape the cream off the top. But then you realize you're missing a whole lot of other people as well. At least 1/3 of your profit, my friend Doug Van Soest made over $1 million last year. $333,000 of that came from his long-term automatic follow-up system. Okay? We talked about leverage. You want to leverage money, you want to leverage people, you want to leverage technology. So This isn't even the basic follow-up. Like, you should take the calls live, make sure you can close on the deals when someone goes to the appointment. And then you want basic follow-up for like 30 days at least, where you're calling and all this stuff. So he came up with this sequence of text blasting, voicemail blasting, email automation that he put everyone into that is like a dead lead. Like, most investors, throw it in the garbage. This is a waste of time. This person's never going to sell their house. They're not motivated. I'm getting rid of this lead, right? He made an extra $333,000 on those leads, those garbage leads. What do you think that did to help his machine? Let him keep going. I think he had this automated follow-up system. He had it going for like 2.5 years or something like that. And it started off at the beginning where it's like they were contacted every week, and then it went down to like every 2 weeks, and every 3, and every month. And eventually, people are either going to eventually sell their house or die, or what else? I mean, or what'd you say? Yeah, but no, yeah, but even then, those people will still sell their house at one point. Okay, another part of the machine that has to do with increasing your average profit per deal. So who knows much about the story about my brother, Steven? A few years ago when I first started my podcast, like a few months after I started it, he started listening to it. He was selling insurance at the time and not making anything. He just got married, had a baby on the way, and like literally was struggling big time. And this guy, like, he's always made it by. He's that kid that always made it by, and he could go on like a cruise as that bachelor every once in a while and this stuff. Like, man, he always makes it by, but he never had any extra money. But now he had a family, so he had to like, had a little more expenses, had to have a little savings. You know, his wife wasn't quite as like just make it whatever like he was. So he calls me up and he's like, bro, I want to learn how to flip and wholesale houses. I've been listening to your podcast, and I was like, no. You don't want to do this. Because I've been doing it long enough, I've been teaching people long enough to know that not everybody makes it happen. Let's be honest, right? In any business, like, not everybody, people, they just don't take action. And the funny thing is, like, I knew exactly what he needed to do to succeed, and if he did it long enough, over a long enough period of time, I knew he would succeed, but I didn't think he would do it, to tell you the truth. And I didn't want to be responsible for him not succeeding. I didn't want his wife to blame. I was like, so I tried to talk him out of it. He's like, I'm doing it anyway, with or without your help. So I'm like, okay, fine. So he got going, and I said, look, like, when you get a deal, don't worry about it. I'll be your buyer. Like, you only need one buyer. I'll buy every house that's a good deal that you bring to me. Which is, there's a lot of truth to that. You only really need one buyer who will buy, and I was a good buyer. I wasn't like, pennies on the dollar, I'm gonna, squeeze everything. No, I like paid well. And I said, so don't worry about building a buyer's list. But he didn't listen to me. That's the best thing he did in that case. He started building a buyer's list, but so he finally got his first deal after 90 days. I was like, oh man, like, it took him, after month one, we were like, okay, it's month one. Month two, we started to sweat. 90 days went by, and literally on day 91, he calls me up, bro, I think I got a deal. Those dumb bandit signs you've been telling me to put out, like a few people have called me. Someone actually called me, and like, they're really motivated. Like, I think this is the one. I'm like, okay, we'll see, whatever. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go get this. I'm like, yeah, whatever. He goes, signs it up right there, right? And those come along. You're gonna get ones that are super motivated and they're ready to go, and you're like, oh my gosh. So right away, I paid him 10 grand for that house. And then when we sold it, we did so well. We made like $42,000. It was only like a $100,000 investment. So those are great numbers if you guys are familiar with returns. And so I paid him another 5. I said, if we do well, we'll pay you more. And we just killed it, right? So anyway, I bought another one from him. And then he called me with one, and it wasn't that great. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't work for me. And then he called me once in a while, but not very much. So I was worried for him. I was like, hey, are things not going so well? This was like a 3 months later. And he's like, no, things are going really well. I'm like, I haven't heard from you. What's going on, man? He's like, oh, I just been selling my houses to other people. I'm like, what, dude? I'm your brother, man. I taught you everything you know. He's like, you don't pay enough. I was like, what? What, are you kidding me? He's like, yeah, you don't pay enough. I'm like, well, you haven't even called me. He's like, well, because you didn't buy that one. I'm like, well, it wasn't a deal. It's like, bro, I made 12 grand on that deal. I'm like, what? That guy's an idiot, you know? But he was building up his buyers list. And he grew like very quickly, like one of the largest buyers lists in Utah, in the industry. And he ruled because he could work with any wholesaler. Like he made the rules, basically. On every deal that I was paying him, like he was making another $10,000, $12,000. And he was able to make money on deals that I wasn't willing to buy from him. And then other wholesalers who had deals, he would send out to his list and they would split the profit. Or they would pay him $5,000 just to send out the stinking email. It's called a solo blast. I've paid people $10,000 to $12,000 to send out emails for me, just to send out the email, regardless of the outcome. A buyer's list. So a solo blast. I don't know if they call it that in the investing industry, in the online market industry. That's what they call it. When someone sends out an email for you, they have an email list and they send that out for you. That's what they call it. Yeah.
So you're buying access to their resources of buyers. Is that why you're paying them that much money to send out an email?
Yes, and that's another thing. Like if you don't have a buyer's list right now, like come to places like this, you'll find a lot of buyers. But hook up with someone who has a buyer's list. Like another thing that millionaire investors do that I've noticed. There's a lot of people who have this fear about giving. They have a fear of loss, I think, and so they're so afraid to give something to someone. Whether it's an agent commission or paying a contractor, so they're out there swinging the hammer themselves, or whether it's like paying someone $12 an hour because they feel like they're losing that, or a coach or a mentor or whatever. Like, no, we've been trained like that's losing money. Millionaire investors think totally different. They think that's how I make money, right? That person is making me this much money. Does that make sense? So yeah, don't be afraid to team up with someone in the beginning who has a huge buyer's list, and then you get a deal that might even be like mediocre to most, but maybe there's a landlord out there or a retail homeowner or someone who wants a house in that market, and the market, they can't like get it on the MLS, and they might pay you way more than you thought you could ever get paid, right? And eventually, over time, you can build your own buyers. So what do you think would happen? And this is how most millionaire investors, most of my high-level coaching students run their business. What do you think would happen if you had someone who's answering the calls live all day, every day? Like you never missed a call live, and they knew what they were doing. You had someone going out to the appointments quickly when it makes sense for the seller, and followed up really well, and knew how to negotiate and was a great salesperson. They built rapport, they did all that stuff. They were really good with follow-up. You have a killer follow-up system. You have a killer buyer's list. You have a rock-solid dispositions person. High-level investors also have someone who, if they're a wholesaler, for example, that sells the houses for them. And they're great at negotiating and sells on the back end. Something that Andy did about a year ago that helped him make an average of about $4,000 on every deal he did, which if you do the math, if you're doing 25 to 30 houses a month, an extra $4,000, that's pretty good, was they just went to or best offer, right? Before they were naming a price, and the first person who got it. And they're like, you know, a lot of people are calling us later. I'm like, oh, I wish I could have bought it. So now they wait. They wait like a day or two if they're getting a lot of response, and they try to bid people up. I hate it because I'm a rehabber. I used to hate those kinds of wholesalers, but now that I'm coaching, I have to do what's best for my clients, and I've come to realize they can make a whole heck of a lot more money. And he who can spend the most money wins in business every time. And how can you spend the most money? By making the most money.
You gotta work yourself up to that level. You can't just start off at that level.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I said you gotta find the entry, and what might that be for anyone, right? Like I said, I didn't start with anything. You know, I didn't start with a dang thing. But I went out there and I went to my first seminar. It was like another language to me. I had no idea what they were talking about. I'm like, subject to the who, what? Like short sell, REO. And then they told me what it stood for. I'm like, oh. I still didn't know what it meant. real estate owned. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, right? Like, none of this stuff made any sense to me. But you know how long it took me to take action when I got back? Right a dang way, right? Like, day one, my wife and I wrote down on this big, huge piece of paper as big as this, like everything that we had learned. And they were like, oh, where do we start? And we went through, we numbered what we thought was like top priority. And we're like, well, where do we start now? Let's start with number 1. I didn't worry about number 2, 3, 4, none of that until I worried about number 1. Number 1 was getting a deal under contract. And this was before I started creating systems and all this, right? It's like, I'm going to get a deal. Like, I did not care what it took. I had no choice. I already had this failed business. Like, I didn't have a degree. I didn't have, like, my pride was on the line. I went out and I knocked doors like a madman. And my wife was like, what the heck are you going to say? This was like day 2 when I got back from the seminar. She's like, what are you going to say? I'm like, I have no idea. But I'm sure something will come out when they answer the door. That's how I started. I just failed quickly. And when I say fail, once again, it's because I didn't really know what I didn't know, but I got over that as quickly as I possibly could. With Nick, I mean, how much training did we really do? Did I bring you into my office and like, I'll say this and do this, and what did I tell you I want you to do? I want you to fail as quick as you possibly can so we can get over that. And you're still going to fail a lot along the way, but just take action. Don't be worried about it. Don't worry about, oh, what if I sound dumb, or what are people going to think? Kind of like, just get out there and get your hands dirty, because you will never, there is this secret code, if you will, amongst action takers. I remember, for example, I went and heard Mike Cantu speak that first time. And then I heard him speak like a year later after I had taken all kinds of action. And the thing, he's taught the exact same thing at that meeting. But the things I heard, totally different. I was like, I get it now. I get it, because you've been there. You know how you can, like, anyone who's been through a certain experience, whether someone's been in the armed forces, or, for my church, I served a mission, or if you had kids, or whatever experience it is that you've gone through, you can bond with that person, right? Because you know that they kind of get you because they've been through that. It's the same thing in real estate. I used to have this thing in my community, my online community, called the Offer Club. I even wrote a song about it if you guys listen to the podcast. And it's like my only goal for people who are new, just make a dang offer. Because I swear 90% of would-be investors don't even make an offer on a house, because there's like 10 different things you have to go through to actually make that offer. Right? You have to kind of learn how to analyze properties. You got to how to get out the paperwork. You got to talk to either an agent or a seller or somebody. And then you got to have the guts to do it. But once you get over that hump, it's like, okay, I made an offer. Like, who cares if it gets accepted or not? You made it. Like, you got over that fear. And then eventually you make several offers and you fail and you learn and you learn from this thing and that thing and you're embarrassed and blah, 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 blah. I mean, how long do people go to school? They get paid nothing. They pay money to spend years learning from someone making a low income. Anyway. And they don't make money from that, but they don't consider themselves a failure. They're celebrating. Right? It's like, yeah, I made no money and paid you lots of money. Right? Because the perception. So if you look at real estate the same way, like if you took crazy massive action, now heaven forbid, if you have to do this for 4 years and you're taking action and not, anyway, that's a problem, right? That's not going to happen. But if you took crazy massive action for 4 years, like what do you think is going to happen in this business? Sometimes I wish I could just like force people just to listen to me 100%, right? And that's why I do coaching, because when people pay, they pay attention, right? But if the people who do listen, eventually they succeed. Did I tell you guys about the biggest flipping failure challenge I did? So I had this challenge called the biggest flipping failure challenge that I did when I first started educating, because at first I thought, I'm just going to teach these people what to do, they're all going to go do it, and it's going to be awesome. But I realized, like I'm telling them to do this thing, and they're not doing it. I don't get it, right? Like the ones that are succeeding, but why aren't they doing it? And they keep asking the same questions. I'm like, well, go do what I told you to do first, and then ask questions, right? They're not doing it. So I'm like, okay, screw the making money, forget about getting deals. I don't care about any of that. Don't worry about the result. We changed the rules. We said the only goal, you are successful, because if you go to school, you're successful just for going to school, right? So you are successful just by doing, and I came up with a list of things that I knew I was tricking them. I knew if they did these things, they would get deals eventually if they kept doing them, but I changed the game to where their only goal was to take the actions that I knew they had to take to get to the end result. But if they were just trying to get to the end result, they would never get there because they would get in their head. And so I made the reward taking the action. And they got points based off of doing all these things. Knocking doors, putting up banner signs. I said, you don't have to do it. And so they had to start thinking of how can I get other people to get points for me, right? So it's kind of this cool thing. They started building out their business. And the crazy thing is that I did it 1 year and I did another year. And each time I look at the people now that won, like one is brand new, brand spanking new. And the other one had a little bit of business. Both of those guys are like high 6-figure income earners right now. And one's like about to join like my 7-figure flipping group. It's pretty cool, right? They started to see the results because they took the actions to get there. Consistent and persistent actions over a long period of time. I don't care if you're talking about your health, business, family, anything. That's what gets you there. So many people, they get like shiny, oh man, I'm gonna do this thing. And like they get really excited, right? MLMs, right? We're gonna do this thing, it's gonna make me rich. They do it for like a month, and they just like slowly fade away, and, you know? Consistent and persistent actions. There's a million ways to make $1 million. Consistent and persistent actions. Surround yourself with the people who have been there. A lot of people in my group say, I have no original thoughts. I mean, I know it's kind of sad, like in this business, there's no original thoughts. I don't need to. When you go to my high-level groups, someone asks a question, and you have like 10 people shout out, oh, use this, do this way, blah, 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 this is how we do it. Here's a document we use. And they say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And boom, their businesses like explode. Because we copy each other. This business is so cool because unlike, you're not going to go to like Facebook and be like, hey, or Apple, hey, like, tell me exactly your business plan, how you do it, what you're doing, like, when's the new phone call, like all this stuff. But in real estate, you can do that because there's so much opportunity, right? And there's so many ways to work together. So it's pretty cool. How are we on time? I want to show you guys a couple videos. I believe one of the biggest ways to that allow us to be successful. Oh, my wife was foxing me. You guys want to listen? No, I'm just kidding. One of the biggest things that help us become successful is by being around other successful people. Would you guys all agree? I think people know that. And what are the reasons why that happens? Anybody? Networking. Okay. What? Similar mindset. Okay. Encouragement. Reinforcement. Competition. Yeah, that's a good one. Like a lot of people don't think of that. That's huge in my group because people get up and they share what they're doing and what they did last time, and the people know what they did last time, and they're like where they're at now. It is crazy how like we come up with excuses, like, and whether we admit it or not, I come up with excuses. We all come up with excuses all the time, right? But it's interesting how that changes. You find a way to make it happen because we care a lot about our pride, man. I tell you what, you find a way to make it happen when you know you're going to be accountable to other people, right? What was that? Who else? Someone said one? I think this is kind of like crazy. This is kind of woo-woo, but like I believe it to be super true. I think your brain like literally like changes when you're around high-level thinkers. I recently, a few months ago, was invited to a high-level mastermind meeting with Russell Brunson, and this was like the highest. I mean, I've always been in the masterminds, and it's all like my level of mastermind group has always continuously been raised. And this mastermind, he's a friend of mine, but it was $10,000 for 2.5 days for one meeting. Who would pay that for one meeting? Most people probably would say, right, someone raised their hand, okay. Most people are probably like, heck no. That was the fastest 10 grand I ever spent in my life. It could have been 20 grand, right? I was like, heck yes, like, I was like, take my money now, take it, right? Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that'll charge you a lot of money that will send you to like a call center where you're learning from someone in a notebook. That's different. But the return on your education is far and wide the best return you will ever get in your life, as long as you make sure you're not going with one of those scammy guys, right? Okay. So I go to this mastermind, and the average person there was making $20 million. That was kind of on the lower end. I was like the small fish in the pond at that meeting, which was crazy, right? Because I go to my events and places like this, and everyone's like, oh, wow, you're making, 7 figures and pushing 8 figures and all this stuff. But like, I go there, and I was the small fish. When I went to that meeting, my goal was to get to the point where I was making $1 million a month, which I think we'll hit that next year. When I left that meeting, what do you think my goal was? 100 million, right? And I said the average was 20 million, but there were people doing 100 million there. And one guy worked with like billionaire businesses, and someone said something that really stood out. They said, the only difference between a $100,000 a year business and a $100 million business is the way you go about it, the things you do. I'm like, huh, Anyway, it's just really powerful. But I left that meeting, and I learned a lot of things, but I thought about it, I'm like, why am I leaving feeling like, oh, I'm going to build a $100 million business? And don't get me wrong, I don't want to do it like next year, or anything crazy like that. It'll be over a few years. But I was like, it wasn't like anyone told me this strategy that is going to get me to 100 million. But my brain changed. I felt different. I felt very confident, and I still feel very confident, right, Nick? That that I will get to that number. Isn't that crazy? Like a lot of you, it's just seems so it seemed crazy to me literally a few months ago, but I was around this group and it changed. And I see the same people go to my high level events and they change. Like when people, even Flip Packing Live, when people came last year, they changed. Like when they leave, they changed.
Justin,
yes?
will you be more fulfilled for your
I won't. I probably won't.
That's where you started this conversation.
I probably won't. So that's important to realize. And people are like, well, why do you want to get there? A lot of times people ask me that. And I believe that we all, especially as entrepreneurs, have this thing inside us where we need to constantly be growing and progressing. I believe the person I have to become to get there, so in that way I'll be more fulfilled. The person I have to become to get there is someone different. I will be able to help more people. Yes, the more people I help become millionaires and are successful, the better. That's the only way I'll get there. I'll have to help more people to get there. I'll have to have more people on my team, which is very fulfilling to me. And then it gives you the opportunity to help. I would love right now, get a little emotional when I talk about this, with the hurricanes and things are going on, I can't totally fathom what it'd be like to be going through that, especially if I know people who demolish their portfolio and they don't have insurance, right? Man, I would love to be able to put 100 million towards helping the victims of those hurricanes. And who even knows what's going to happen in Florida? I've got some students who are they have 9 rehabs that they're working on right now. And they're like, man, we could be toast, right? And I don't believe in game over ever. I believe I've had lots of ups and downs in my life. I believe our forefathers were inspired from God to the way that they created the laws that we have. And I'm not encouraging bankruptcy, and I know some people misuse it, but it's a blessing in some ways because it allows entrepreneurs to take a risk. We live in a country, listen to this, right? I know no one wants to file bankruptcy. That's not the goal because you feel, once again, morally We live in a country where it's you can put it all on the line and take all the risk becoming a millionaire and do it. And if it doesn't work out, do you go to prison? Do you have to because you can't pay people? No, you don't. You get a do-over. And I know some people take advantage of that and whatnot, and I'm grateful I've never had to be in that position. But it's you get a do-over because you know what? You went for it. And you were rewarded for going for it. It's pretty crazy. If it doesn't work out, the government just takes care of you anyway. It's great. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
So part of the whole risk mitigation thing that you might be able to have a little time for, in a situation like that, we're encouraged to go outside of the state, Texas, where these tragedies are happening, and it's our chaos and mayhem. We can take advantage of that. And how do do you just insure? Like,
Do you insure? What's that?
Those folks that have portfolios there, do you not insure each property that you get? So.
Oh, I mean, that's a whole nother, that's a whole nother discussion, right? Here's the deal, right? You guys have all heard of the black swan, right? If you live your life, and a lot of people live their life like this, worried about the black swan, which is really a situation that you can't totally control, you won't be living a life at all. You know what I mean? Those people that have a hurdle to go over, I believe challenges make us stronger. They're not fun when you're going through it. And I believe it also, like, look at all the people that are coming together right now. I mean, when 9/11 happened, like, the worst tragedy ever, but how much did we come together, right? I don't understand everything, you know? I know we're getting kind of a little deep here, but I believe, you know, there's a purpose for things, and not that God makes them happen, but they happen, and somehow we become stronger through them, right? But having that been said, like, I think the question is, if I have a rental property and I can't cash flow it, if I have insurance on it, I'm probably not going to get insurance, right? But if you have a bank loan, once again, like, then they're going to have to cover some of that. They're taking on some of that risk as well. So it's kind of like your partners in that. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, I would insure when you can, but like, I don't know the numbers for like earthquake insurance, but I think it's pretty insane, right? I think it's pretty high if anyone's checked that out. So anyway, you just got to work your numbers and do what makes sense. Will there probably be a lot more people that get that kind of insurance? Yeah, but yeah, you're right. It'll probably go right. It'll probably go away because it's not. Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole nother deep discussion. But no. So we got to end right at 9, right? Is that what you guys said?
Yeah, keep on going. You're good.
We got to end at 9.
Another hour.
Another hour.
15 minutes to 9 o'clock.
So, you know, I had a couple videos I want to show you, but we don't need to show them. That's fine. Well, I don't think we have time. It's like 10 minutes long. Well,
Yeah, keep going.
Can we-
We can go a little bit over 9.
oh, we can go low. Okay, let's show at least one of them. Maybe we'll show 2 if we can. Oh, okay. I thought we'd be out at 9, but we have to be done by 9. Anyway, okay. Do you want to pull that up? So something that really helps me is when I see me get to know like other investors who have other successful business people, because the crazy thing is like they're just normal people. I remember as a kid thinking like, oh my gosh, people who succeed in business, like they're just like, oh, right? They're just normal people. So I want to show you this video of this guy named Bill. Okay, his name's Bill Allen, and 2 years ago, he had only been doing this business he'll kind of explain that. He's only been doing it a couple years, and he'd only done like 2 deals a year. And then last year, he did a lot of deals. I don't want to ruin the video, but you'll see what he did last year, and then I'll tell you what he's going to do this year. This is last year at Flip Hacking Live at my event, what we do in San Diego. Right there, this one right here?
Yeah,
Is it going to work? Or? Okay. Yeah, if it doesn't, it's fine. You also have to be able to adapt on the fly. And you can't let things bother you. You really can't. Like in business, like I can't tell you how many days I've gone through where I get a call, lost 10 grand, lost 20 grand. I've lost up to $250,000 on a house before. And I also have to scare you guys. I learned from that, right? Was that fun knowing that? No. But you know what? I got over it very quickly. You know why? Because I had to go make that money back, right? Now, I shouldn't have said that because her face, once again, is like, ah! No, like it won't happen. At that time, I could handle that. I was making 7-figure income a year, and I took on a really big, risky project. Anyway, a bunch of random things happened. But if there's a certain, you can mitigate that risk. You really can. All right. I knew I should have said that, darn it. Oh, wait. What happened? You guys need a mat, come on. Hey guys, what do I push? Okay. Copy.
Right side.
Oh,
Right side, okay. Use this side.
oh, that's the left side.
So, whoops. I'm all backwards here. How do we get there?
Okay.
You did tell us you're bad with the software.
I am really bad, okay.
So, like Justin said,
Okay.
I just picked up my family and moved to Nashville for a very short period of time. So we have some personal things going on. My wife, I'm here, and my wife is going to have a baby in 3 weeks.
Can you hear it?
So she's probably not the happiest person with me right now. But I really, this really means a lot to me, and meeting with all these guys for the last 3 days is important to me in my business, and talking to you guys is important to me too. So I told her, I think I just need to come here and do this, and you guys will be fine, and we have support, and I'll be home soon. So on Wednesday, we got in a car, and a 26-foot moving truck, and we moved to Nashville, Tennessee, so she could have the baby at Vanderbilt University. And then we'll talk a little bit more about it, but our baby has a heart defect, so we'll have to have some open heart surgery for him quickly after birth. So we went to Nashville, and we'll have that surgery. And then we might move back to Pensacola, Florida, which is where we live now, or we might stay there, I'm not sure. So this is my son, Will. He's 2 years old, and that's my wife, Lucy, on the right. So that's why I do all this stuff. I want to take myself kind of out of the business and spend more time with them. And I'll talk about starting with the end in mind, but that was the end in mind in my business. I wanted to be out, and I wanted to spend more time with them, and I wanted to just kind of do whatever we wanted to do, travel, and enjoy my time with my son. Next, when the weather's good, I fly for 10 to 12 hours a day right now. I got typically 2 flights with students. I'm a flight instructor at Pensacola, Florida, and I spend a lot of time in the airplane. So you can see that if I'm working 10 to 12 hours a day, I don't really have time to answer the phone or go on appointments or sign contracts and stuff. So that was my helicopter. I flew out here in San Diego, North Island, for 4 years, and then I was a flight instructor down in Pensacola. I went to England to become a test pilot. I went to school there, met my wife. I was a test pilot in Pax River for 2 years, flying H-60s, and now I'm back down flying the single-engine airplanes in Pensacola, Florida as an instructor for the 2nd Corps. That's pretty much it. It's a fun job. So I don't want to give this up. I love doing real estate, and I love what we're doing, but I really love to fly too. So I'd like to get both, which is why I did this. All right, 2014. So I'll give you a quick background of where I was and where I am now. So we did our first flip in 2014. I actually meant it to be a rental. I bought it off the foreclosure auction. I think it was Hubzu that we bought it, and it was just me. Bought it. I was going to rent it out, refinance it, and try to buy more and more rentals. It worked out so well. The market, it was telling me, hey, you're going to make some money on this house, so I decided to try to sell it so I could buy another rental because I kind of was running out of cash at that time. And I also, we made $43,000 on that house. It was a great deal, but this was in Maryland. I was at the test squadron, and I was going back and forth. Like at lunch break, I'd go back, check on the house, and then I'd go back to the squadron and fly in the afternoon, write a report at night. Next morning on my way to work, I'd drive by the house, check on it, make sure the contractors are good, and repeat that just about every day. So I was working a lot on this house. It's pretty much all I could do, and the 70, 80 hours of work I was doing with my full-time job. 2015 was my second flip. We moved to Florida. I moved to Pensacola, Florida from Maryland, and I was looking for property for like 6 months. I couldn't find a deal on the MLS when I got there. The wholesalers weren't producing for me. I ended up stumbling onto an estate sale. I was so frustrated, I almost quit. I was in my flight suit driving back from work, and I saw an estate sale sign. I turned right, went to the house, talked to the son. The mom was still there. They were getting ready to move, and I just gave them my business card and told them what I did. And they called me a couple days later, and we worked out a deal, and I bought that house. I was seriously to the point where I was getting so frustrated that I just said, I don't know if I want to keep doing this, spending time away from my family looking for properties. So we bought that house, and this house I was there two times a day. I couldn't find a contractor. I was doing it myself. I subbed everything out. I was there on the way to work, and I was there on the way home from work. Fortunately, it was on my route to and from work. And it was a $95,000 renovation. So it took me about 4 months, and I was doing it was all I did. we made a good profit on it, but that's the time that I realized, I said, I got to do something different. I can't keep spending all my time. We bought the house, we renovated the house, and we sold the house. And right when it went on the market, I said, where's the next deal? I don't have another property. So as this one's selling, I'm looking for the next one. And then there was another gap of 4 to 5 months, and I didn't still didn't have a property. I couldn't find another one. So it wasn't scalable with me doing all this stuff. So what have I done in 2016 so far? We're at flip number 17 right now in 2016, and I have 3 more in the pipeline already. And so now we can talk about how I got there, but
This was 1 year
the
ago.
difference is astronomical is what I was doing before. And now the deals just come down the conveyor belt, and I just pick them off as I want them. If we
So
don't
the year
have one,
after
we
he did
need
2
one,
deals.
we'll take it. If we have too much, we don't have enough money, and we don't want to flip the next one, we'll sell it off to somebody else. So the difference is unbelievable in how I've gotten to this point and how we built this machine to bring leads in. It's all about that. I'm not scrambling to find where the next deal is. In fact, I'm going, how do I find the money for the next deal? Like, can we do another one? Can we do another one? I could just take more and more and more. It's fantastic. 50 wholesale deals. So this is where about my 70 deals will come from this year. We've done about 40 that we have in the pipeline right now, and you'll see kind of where we're at and where we're on track to do. But we'll have no problem hitting these projections this year, I think. Next. That's what I'm looking at for gross this year, 43,000, 45,000, and we basically 10x'd it. So, and I think this is under
from 1 year to the other.
Yeah. So here's me by myself. Tried to do this on my own for 2 years. I struggled. I almost quit. No deal flow. Like I talked about, I got a deal, we rehabbed it, and then I said, where's it going to come from? Andy's going to talk to you after me, and I wonder if he's going to mention the conversation that I had with him. And if he is, I'm not going to talk about it. But it's pretty funny. I tried to find the clip. The first conversation I ever had with Andy was, looking back on it, it's just hilarious. I can't believe I said those things. And Becca's a friend of mine, and she came into the group, and she told me the other day, she said, remember you told me not to do all this stuff that you're telling me to do right now? I said, yeah, I remember that, but not well. This is big for me. This is one of my favorite sayings. I try to start with the end in mind. So I saw Andy's business and Mike's business in January, and I said, I want to do that. So how do I reverse engineer it so I can do it faster, and maybe I can find a way to do it better. Like if I could take something from them and something from over here and put it all in a pot, and how can I do that and reverse engineer that business? Like I said, no original thoughts are in my head in real estate. I have some in other places, but not, like in real estate, I don't feel like I don't have to be real creative. I can just take what other people are doing and try to combine the best things. The mentality shift. For me, when I came in and talked to Andy, I only wanted to, I was like, I just need like a couple $100,000 a year. I just want to, and that's really all I need or want. And as I started doing this, I started seeing all the effect that we have on the people that work for us or with us, and all the people that we're helping out there with their houses and the buyers and sellers and stuff. If it's a win-win-win, I mean, that's my goal. So when you surround yourself with people that are doing incredible things and doing more than you, I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be the dumbest person in the room. I want to surround myself with people who are doing this at a different level, because you know that you'll rise to that level, and you'll do it too. There's a little bit of competition there, but being in this group and you guys in House Flipping Formula, if you are, or you're going to see that other people start doing things, you want to do them too, and you want to get there, and it'll drive you to do those things. So I see these other guys that are killing it and doing more than me, and I want to be them. I'm trying to move myself up. So if you surround yourself with people, you'll do well. Permission. Andy gave me permissions when I talked to him on the phone. He's like, I thought that there was like a glass ceiling of like $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year, or all the time you feel like I can't do that. He does that. I can't do that. If I was sitting in the back room with you, right next to you, you're just a normal guy. We'd just be talking there. Andy and Justin, when I met them, I was like, these guys are just down to earth. normal guys. There's nothing special about any of us. We can all be where they are. So, but we all have kind of that, no, I can't do that. What he's doing, I can't do it. You can, okay? So give yourself permission. Action and implementation. So taking action, just thinking about it and saying, oh, maybe I'll do that tomorrow or next week. And just do it. But the speed of implementation is very important. I think if you ask anybody here, the reason that we have been so successful this year is because I'm very fast. I won't wait. Take some action. We're going to show you how to do it. You can either act or not. It's your choice. I mean, your chart can look like this just as easy as mine can. So implement these things that you're going to be taught this week, and these guys are going to talk about today. And if you take that action, you'll be here as long as you commit to it.
Right. Give Bill Allen a round of applause. Can you guys hear that okay? So Bill Allen, a couple years ago, had done like 4 deals, was doing 2 deals a year, had a full-time job, working 10 to 12-hour days. He joined our program, like he wouldn't even make the cut today, because you have to make at least 6 figures to join the 7-figure flipping program. But he joined, he just got after it. He did everything that Andy and I showed him and other people in the group. And last year, which was his first year in the program, he did 70 deals. Totally changed his life. Earlier this year, he quits his job. This year, he's on track to do over 150 deals. Now, he's not in San Diego, okay? Like, you guys only have to do, like, yeah, well, maybe a little more. But, yeah, depending on what deals you do, right? 30 deals to be where he's going to be, right? But did you hear him talking about, at first it was a struggle. I found the deal, and I was going to the house twice a day. Like, does some of this sound familiar? The thing I'm trying to preach to you, right? And then he's like, and then they just start coming off the conveyor belt. Because why? What did he build? He built a machine. Okay, now he's just putting more dirt in the machine and expanding it a little bit. Did the market get easier? No, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I've been doing this business for 10 years, and I've only heard people say they can't find any deals. Like, I kept waiting for a day where people are like, I can find deals now, it's easy, right? Like, it's just funny, right? Like, we just come up with all these excuses, right? I don't think the market's harder. I think it's just, I don't know, it's just different. We just adapt to it, right? But he just did it, and he had a full-time job. Did you hear him talk about his baby? Okay, his baby had a heart defect. This was while we were at Flip Hacking Live. Like, we found out while he was in our community that he was going to have a baby with a heart defect, and we were able to support him at this event. And, you know, people contributed. It was really cool, and we matched whatever. It's part of the reason why I do this business, right? So that was really cool. But just a great guy, and I could show you like video after video of people who, same thing, right? I thought, like, if there's any one of you out here today who's saying, yeah, but catch yourself. I can't do it because of blah, blah, blah. You know what? Whether you think you can do it or not, this is cliche, but you're right. Whether you think you can make a 7-figure, let's start with high 6. For what's your name? Bethany. So she's not like, you know. Whether you think you can do this at a high level or not, like, you are right. Surround yourself with the right people who can help you get there. So there's something that I'd like to do. We started doing this event, Flip Hacking Live, last year, and I just had this thought, because I started the 7-figure flipping group, and I knew not everyone could join it. It's not cheap. It's a $25,000 program, and I will not let anyone in that program that I know that we can't at least 10x their investment. I'm not like those companies that get people to raise their credit card limits and take their life savings and sell them on a dream, and they've never even made an offer on a house, and then 90% of them don't do anything, and they send them to a call center. Like, that would be hard for me to feel good about myself. Does that make sense, right? So we're very selective with who we bring into this group. However, I wanted more people to have this similar experience. So I got together with some of these guys who were hitting these 7-figure incomes. I said, hey, how would you guys feel if once a year, you know, in San Diego, at least is where we've had it, we all come together, and for 3 days, when we come to these events, like, we do not hold anything back at these 7-figure flipping events. That's one of the rules. You come and you share abundantly with everything. Because most investors will share, like, a lot of what they're doing. They withhold, like, kind of that one little thing, you know? But at these seven-figure flip meetings, we don't allow that. I say, what if once a year, for 3 days, we get together and my top students and coaches come and they just share everything for people who aren't quite at that level but want to get there. And every once in a while I have someone that says, nah, I'm not willing to, but most people in my community are willing to do that. So we did it last year. We sold out right before the event. This year we actually sold out literally within about 3 or 4 months of promoting it, which was in October. So we were sold out at the beginning of the year. And then last month, my event coordinator calls me. She sent me a box. I could play it, but it'd take me time to find it. Saying, I've got great news. They've given us a larger room. And we don't have to pay anything extra for it, which is awesome because those rooms aren't cheap, as you guys probably know. But anyway. So I was excited. I was bummed because I wish I would have known before. And so we recently started selling some more tickets again, and we've sold a bunch of them. But we do have a bunch of extra tickets. So what I've decided to do is this is only for the people who are here tonight, and this is not this is real. Okay, if you go to the website, in fact, there are a few people who have already purchased tickets and they paid more, I guarantee you. In fact, do you want to pass those out real quick? Can we pass those out really fast? This is what I want to do. Not only did we lower the price because to the original early bird price, because we got more tickets, and I don't want those seats to be empty. We got quite a few more tickets. We're selling a lot of them, but we still have a lot left. People are traveling out through all over the country. My top students, who are all seven-figure flippers, are going to be speaking at this event, are going to be sharing everything with you. They're going to be doing roundtable presentations. Andy will be there. He's going to get up there and share everything he does in his business. 25 to 30 wholesale deals every month. None of these guys are professional speakers. They don't have anything to sell. This is not a pitch event. You're like, well, Justin, you're trying to make money. Yet people naturally, some of them will end up joining my coaching programs. That's cool. But there will be no one's going to get up there. I will mention my programs while I'm there, but no one will be up there selling anything. Okay, our goal is to give back as much as we possibly can. So to join my high-level program is $25,000. This event, the value is at least $2,500. That's like I said, it could be a $10,000 event. Because we lowered the price, we lowered it to $497. But for tonight, for the people in this room, because I have extra tickets, I don't want to go empty. I know you guys are local. People are traveling from all over the country. You guys have it easy, right? I want to be able to get as many people there as we can. So I wanted to do something nice for you guys. And what I want to do with any tickets that we sell tonight, if you guys are okay with this, I want to donate all those proceeds to the victims of the hurricane. Cool. I don't need it. The event's already been paid for through other tickets that we've sold, and I've just been praying about how can we help those guys some more, and that's what I want to do. So, so cool. So, anyway, I will be here for questions. But yeah, if you guys are here's the deal too. If you're like, oh, I don't know if I can come or not, but you think you might want to come, go ahead and fill it out. And if you text me or email me tomorrow morning or something, we won't run the transaction. And if you for some reason can't come in the next week, let me know. We'll just give you a refund, right? The poor people I'm just kidding. The hurricane. I'm joking. I'm totally kidding. I believe in that there's a lot of ways that we can abundance, right? I believe you can help someone who's suffering from the hurricane, and you can benefit from that in a way as well. And I try to find ways where that is a win-win for everybody. It's a way you can help them, help yourself, and we all win. I got extra seats, right? That's what entrepreneurs do. They find solutions. I have extra seats to this event. I want to help the hurricane victims. I want to help you guys. It all makes sense. So anyway, cool. What's that? Be resourceful. All right. I think that's probably it, right? We're out of time. I don't mind more questions, but if we're out of time, any final burning questions you guys have? Seriously though, this event, your mind will be blown. It will be. It's pretty incredible. You get all kinds of investors up there that are making seven-figure incomes. And after you hear that enough and you hang out with them, because they will go to lunch with you. and they will hang out with you. That's the kind of people that these people are. The first night we're going to do these roundtable, where all of my 7-figure members will be at roundtable and just answering questions and getting to know you and spending time with you. Yeah.
I was just wondering, do you still do, as part of your machine, lower level marketing, like bandit signs, or is it all the advanced stuff?
No, I mean, see, here's the thing, right? You have marketing that takes a lot of effort, and then you have marketing that takes a lot of money, but you can actually hide, they're all related. Because bandit signs, for example, it might take a lot of time and effort, but it doesn't have to be my time and effort. So we have a complete bandit sign system, where it's like we hire a couple people to put out bandit signs. We use an app called Simple Crew that they post like the bandit signs they're putting out. We pay them $3 for each sign they put out, and then the signs cost, so it's like $5 per sign, and we calculate it. And we're like, hey, we get this many calls. We turn that many calls into deals, and we make this much money from each deal. And I have my marketing guy oversees all that. So I'm at a point where I don't do anything, right? But work your way up to that, right? Maybe at first you just have someone who's putting up the signs for you, but you're overseeing them, making sure they do it. Yeah.
So is the system essentially your team, your delegation of all these tasks, the way that they do the work?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys ever watched the show The Profit, but it's like every business consists of product, people, and process, right? The product is real estate. Like we get to cheat. It's already been proven time and time and time again. I don't have to come up with this crazy idea of this like new startup I'm going to start and it might work or it might fail or I might spend like $250,000 of Aunt Jenny's money and lose it all, right? Like you don't have to do that. It's already been proven. You know how to do it. We know how it works. You can use leverage. And then the process is everything I've kind of talked about, and you can get in a lot more detail about that. I mean, I could spend, that's why we spend 3 days talking about the event, right? It takes time. That's why I have coaching programs where we dive into, because everyone's at a different level. Some people need to learn how to analyze deals. And like for my lower level program, which is just $2,000, I spend 5 hours comping properties for people who need it. Not everybody needs that. But some people need that, right? Does that make sense? So it just depends on where you're at and the things that you need to learn. Did I answer your question? What was your question? Yeah, okay.
Essentially what the system is. It's the team, building a team.
Yeah, so it's, and then process and then people. And then, I mean, people are amazing. Like, people always say it's hard to find good help. No, it's not. It's hard for people to be a good manager of that, I guess. I don't know, but it's not. Like, there's so much good help out there and people that will do amazing things if you have the right process to plug them into, if that makes sense.
So that's how you're able to work 5 hours a week, is that yeah?
Absolutely.
Delegating all the tasks.
And I only say 5 hours a week because I want people to believe me. But there came a point where I literally, some weeks was like, I didn't really do anything this week, you know? But yeah, 5 hours, that's a good. But you know, it doesn't just start like that. Like, it takes a little more time to, you got to take a step back sometimes, take 10 steps forward. And to build something might take a little bit of time and effort, but then once it's built, or at least part of it is built, then you can start to step back a little bit. Does that make sense? And then eventually, I remember literally, like, so I'd give away a piece at a time, and then when I handed off the management of the contractors, because I was spending a lot of time doing that and like talking to agents, when I handed both of those pieces off, I remember waking up the next day. And it was actually after one day of like contractors still calling me and me not answering their calls. But I remember waking up and I'm like, what do I do? It was the weirdest feeling. It's like, what do I do? So I figured out how to go buy more houses, and anyway, right? So it's pretty cool.
So, well, real quick, you know, one of the things about Justin is he gives everything away. And in fact, we have a gentleman in the room that I had a pleasure of meeting with the other day. Is it Scott, right? Scott, all he did was listen to your podcast.
Awesome.
And he
awesome,
he
man.
flipped a
Love it.
house by listening to your podcast.
Yeah.
So,
awesome,
give it up to
man.
Scott. And So
Awesome. Love it,
that's
man.
just a testament to Justin and his education and his just willingness to give. And so we really appreciate you tonight, Justin, and really appreciate you giving back as well. So
Thank you, man.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Give these guys a round of applause. Like, seriously, to have this kind of education I mean, it's pretty powerful. And this locally, it's pretty awesome.
But just like you, we didn't really do anything. So thanks. We're just bringing everybody together. It's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool.
But yeah, it is. It really is about community. So definitely get to this event. That's like peanuts, but to be around these types of people.
You cannot tell anybody at the event this is what you paid because I don't want the value to be undermined. I want you to feel like you paid $10,000 because when you pay attention.
Yep.
Okay? I am doing this because I literally decided this today. Like I picked these up today from the printer. My wife did some things on it. I just wanted to do something for the hurricane and for you guys, and I have seats I need to fill. So.
Yeah, and we say this all the time. It's about community, and you've got local community here. You're here now. You've got a lot of us, and just keep plugging into community. You have people coming from all over here that are at certain levels. It's no matter who you are, what you're doing, something's going to rub off on you, and you want it to. So be there, and then you'll just be that much more powerful when you come back with us in this community. So yeah, that's definitely something you guys want to get to, and keep finding out more and more and more about community and what's going on. So, are you hanging out, or do you have to go?
I can hang out for a few minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got to get out of the room.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
Some of
I'll
us
hang out there for a little bit.
So.
Either give those to myself or Nick. Nick, where you at? Nick's right there. Or you can take him to the back or whatever. If you have other people on your team or that you know that you want to bring, just add an extra $100 for each person, since that's what it was for the second ticket. I'm crazy, I know. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing. I might wake up in the morning and be like, what happened? Why did I do that? Once again, it's so we can donate to the hurricane victims. And I'll keep you guys posted on
That's totally
how we
awesome.
allocated that money. I want to see
Totally
what happens in Florida.
And if people don't have to go home right away, I know some people do. It's getting late, but Daryl and I and some other investors and hardcore, like Kendall, you're probably hanging around for a little bit. So we'll be hanging around in the bar lounge. So just come shoot the breeze, right? Trade information, right? Ask more about Justin. We'll get you, if he's not here, we'll get you in touch with him.
Yeah.
So, hang around.
All right, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll see you back in the bar.
Cool. Thanks, guys.